How's it going, everyone? I hope you had a nice break, if you were lucky enough to have one. I'd like to say that I've been busy and haven't been able to make videos, but if I'm honest, I've just been very lazy. But we're back, and we're getting back into it. And we're starting with the Dyer Expedition, which is a puzzle sort of horror game. So, be ready for some horror. Let's get into it. The expedition left last year. They kept radio contact during their journey to the Antarctic. After they finally arrived, they set up base camp. They kept us up to date with what they were working on, at least for some time. About a month ago, their supply ship returned to the base camp. The entire team had disappeared. Well, that's not sounding promising. The university didn't want me to go. They said going to the Antarctic alone was practically suicide. I agree. Are we alone then? That is brave and stupid. But I cannot resist the pull. Something draws me there. I need to know what happened to my colleagues, my friends. Ooh, hello. This looks like a base camp of sorts. This is a peculiar looking game. I think the part that immediately stands out is that the skybox all around us is brighter than the landscape, which is just a bit odd, but it's still pretty cool. It's very atmospheric. Hello? Looks like a drill. Is there anybody home? Ooh. That looks like a puzzle.
January 4th, 1931. W. Dyer. My name is William Dyer, and I'm a professor of geology at the Miskatonic University, Massachusetts. Our mission in the Antarctic is to conduct several geological surveys and, soil properties permitting, archaeological digs on parts of the continent that haven't been explored by previous expeditions. After several grueling weeks at sea aboard the Arkham, we have finally reached our destination. Following the unloading of the expedition's cargo, the ship is to make the return trip to bring further supplies. Aside from the usual reports on our surveys, I will keep a diary and instruct several key members of the team to do the same. Antarctica is, for all intents and purposes, a new scientific frontier, and I want to preserve even the minutest of details for posterity in case our expedition fails under unforeseen circumstances. January the 10th, 1931. W. Dyer. We erected a rudimentary shack for the team with the supplies we brought. It should prove a better shelter than the number of tents we had to spend the last 6 nights in if we intend to stay for as long as we have planned, which is several weeks. The Arkham is scheduled to return in 14 days with supplies. January the 12th, 1931. W. Dyer. While we studied what lies within the cave, Mr. Gedney was able to erect the drilling apparatus and promptly excavated several fossils, mostly things like seaweeds and trilobites. These discoveries align with the strata they were found in, but they are of course exciting nonetheless. What is remarkable, though, is an enormous fossil that Mr. Gedney was able to unearth. It seems to be the imprint of a gigantic, hitherto unknown species of 5-sided starfish.
That sounds ominous. That was a big exposition dump. Electric torch, eh? Shovel. Oh no, we're digging up people's graves. Can I... It looks like I need something else to break into them. What other tools can we find? Ooh, there's the keys. But it is still boarded up. Ooh. Is this one not... Doesn't look like this one is narrated, so I'll do my best job. January 4th, 1931. F. Gidney. I was instructed by Mr. Dyer to keep a diary of my team's work and the general happenings in camp. Even though I'm not usually one to keep diaries, I agree with his reasoning. Antarctica is a hostile place, and there is a non-negligible chance of catastrophic failure, as past expeditions have shown. In that event, there will at least be records that explain why the expedition failed. I'm not much of a writer, so my entries will be brief. January 10th, 1931. F. Gidney. We finished work on a rudimentary shack. Since we intended to stay for an extended period of time, it increases comfort levels and morale. The scientists shifted their attention to the cave up the hill. They said they found what appears to be a man-made structure inside. Very unexpected. January 12th. My team erected a fence in front of the cave to keep the dogs from wandering in. They seemed to be attracted by the strange noises that started coming from within ever since the scientists began exploring further. It sounds like musical piping, probably caused by the wind blowing through the openings in the cave. January 14th. Something happened. The scientists are trapped. They must have activated some mechanism on the inside. There had been a deafening alien wailing coming from inside the cave while my men were busy in the camp, followed by a loud crushing sound. After checking, we found that the stone door that was previously open had shut. We can only assume that the scientists are trapped inside. January 15th. Even though the stone door is closed shut, the musical piping hasn't stopped. In fact, it now seems to come from everywhere around us. I cannot explain it, but this noise seems to touch some primal instinct within my men and me. We all have this irrational urge to flee. The only thing we could do for now is wait for the next supply ship. January 16th. Carol and Ash are dead. We found their bodies in the water. I've locked the gate to the cave and buried the key. I don't want anybody near that cursed thing. January 17th. Today I had to bury Sherman and McTeague. 2. With the scientists still trapped in the cave, I'm now alone in this frigid desert with soul-piercing sound. The bottom of the sea is silent. No noise. Must go there. Ooh. So does that mean that the keys that I found were for this cave? Did I go and look? Is that it there? Well, this is cool and terrifying. Okay, that must be the stone door that closed. And it looks like we can put something in here. Obviously I don't have that yet. Let's do a bit of exploring. Ooh. Oh, this must be what goes in there.
January the 11th, 1931. W. Dyer. After successfully establishing a base camp and setting up a basic hut, my research assistant Danforth and I have set out to inspect this conspicuous cave entrance, then marched on. What we found inside must be seen to be believed. A construct of some kind, then an entrance leading further into the darkness, all built in stone. It must have been built by an ancient people thousands of years ago. I have yet to find an answer to the question of how they possibly could have arrived, let alone how they sustained themselves in Antarctica. How were humans of yore able to stay alive in such a hostile environment, not to mention to erect such an imposing structure? January the 13th, 1931. W. Dyer. After examining the structure further, we surmised that it must be far more ancient than we initially believed. The open entrance features what appears to be a door-like mechanism. but there does not seem to be any obvious way of operating it. There is a 5-sided hole at the center of the platform, about 10 inches wide, which suggests that something is missing, an object which can be inserted into it. January the 16th, 1931. W. Dyer. We've found a strange object embedded in the ice, not far from the entrance. It's a 5-sided cylinder, primarily made of stone with a star-shaped top. It has metal trimmings, a gemstone embedded in its top side, and its 5 sides are marked with strange symbols. This newly discovered object fits the hole of the pedestal in front of the door perfectly, but inserting it doesn't seem to have any effect. I can only speculate, but I assume it functions like a key to open the door should it close.
Alright. So, sounds like we'll need to figure out how this key works. I assume it won't be as easy as just putting it in there and it opens? What? I thought it wasn't supposed to open. Alright, I'll go in there in a second. I'm just going to make sure I haven't missed anything. Yeah, nothing over here. Alright, let's see what's behind door number 1. Hello? Oh, jeez. I didn't realize that was like a drop-off. I got a ladder. What do I do with that? Ooh. Oh, that's cool. What are we going towards? Feels like we're... Oh no! Oh, I still wanted that. Feels like we're walking into like a shrine of some kind. Reminds me of the episode from the latest series of Love, Death and Robots. Oh no, is this a maze? Ooh. January 17th, 1931. A. Danforth. I was tasked by Professor Dyer to examine and catalogue a large room while he made sense of the mural nearby. The room is circular, and the short hallway leading up to it is lined with what reminds me of bookshelves, including cylinder-shaped objects that remind me of scrolls. I'm not sure if one is supposed to open them in any way, or if they even have any physical content at all. Maybe I'm clinging too much to familiar shapes, and these things aren't for storing information, but rather a form of energy. One can only speculate. In the center of the room itself sits a device. It has claw-like spikes, and is surrounded by 5 obelisks. These obelisks have buttons. I try to press all of them, but the entire mechanism seems to be, once again, absolutely inert. Opposite the hallway that connects the room to the chasm is another hallway that leads yet further into the darkness. One can see the outline of yet another heavy stone door embedded into the floor, similar to the one we initially crossed in, the ice cave. As with the first door, this one is also open and has no discernible mechanism to operate it. I sure am glad that the expedition bought an ample supply of batteries for our electric torches, because this is where we will go next. Yep, that fits the description. I wonder if we do something there to open this door. Or what? Well, it looks like a door anyway. What does that do? Oh, I think this is like an order puzzle, so you have to push them in the right order. Yeah, okay. So... Oh. Oh. Always the last one that I look at. Oh, that's cool. Those are constellations, yeah? Not any that I recognize, though. That's fascinating. Okay, I'm gonna check the other rooms before I go down there. But from the sounds of the letter, they didn't make it that far. Okay, this way's caved in.
January 17th, 1931. W. Dyer. After much consideration, Danforth and I finally made the perilous climb across the chasm. Our colleagues in Massachusetts would probably call us reckless or mad for even attempting such a thing in such a remote location, so far from help. But this entire structure is just too magnificent not to be explored further. Danforth and I finally admitted to each other what we individually already had in our minds. This structure is likely not of human origin. I must admit that I have, in fact, read the Necronomicon, this peculiar piece of literature by the mad Arab Abdul al-Hazred. Up until this expedition, I thought it to be nothing more than the deranged musings of a madman with no further significance. Upon inspecting this new mural, and the first one we discovered, these texts don't seem very mad after all. The Necronomicon tells of creatures whose description is eerily similar to the ones depicted so far. Elder things, it calls them. And if the Necronomicon is to be believed further, these elder things are not merely observers of life on Earth, but its very origin. I cannot express how much this realization now weighs on Danforth and me, but we will have to keep quiet lest we put the morale of the team and therefore the success of this expedition in jeopardy. The mural at hand, and the corresponding passages of the Necronomicon, tells of the arrival of this ancient species when Earth was but a barren rock. They seemed to be able to traverse the vastness of space using their wings, after their planet of origin was somehow destroyed or faced some other kind of calamity that must have made it uninhabitable.
Interesting. So yeah, this is Lovecraftian. That's not like a reveal or anything. It did say that in the game description on Steam. Looks like we can't go this way. Alright, then back to our newly opened door. Oh, I see. Okay, that's the end of the demo. So that was the demo for the Dyer Expedition. It's pretty interesting so far. It's a lot of exposition, but I think that's sort of in tune with the whole Lovecraftian aspect. Visuals are nice. They're a bit gritty, and they kind of fit the time of this, whatever it is, the 1930s at some point. Obviously, there's some strange parts, like the skybox and the mountain here, but all of it looks quite nice. And like there are a few bits in the cave there that looked really cool. That ceiling with all the constellations on it, very cool. Yeah, not a huge amount of content for a demo, but it's definitely enough to get me interested, because I would love to play the full game and see what it's about. And maybe I'll do so when it comes out. We'll see. But either way, we'll leave it there for now. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.